Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to office hours, everybody. What is going on? You can see here a little bit different setting, a little bit different setup. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you can hear me. Let me know. I will explain the different setup and the different setting here in just a moment. But if you could let me know that you can hear me and see me okay, that would be great. I would appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. What is up, Twin State Agency? Good to see you, Paul. Good to see you. Street Smart Marketing, Terry. Good to see you. Bruno, good to see you, sir. Awesome. Alan, welcome. Thank you. Sadeep, good to see you. Oop, there you go. Awesome. Still partying in Spain? No, I wish. No, back in San Diego, but today is move day for me. Hey, Darlene, good to see you. Today is move day for me, so I'm actually moving my residence just a couple miles away, but literally as we speak. So I'm sitting outside of my old apartment, inside of the apartment. There are movers in there, packers in there, all that good stuff, lots of noise, thus the noise canceling headphones. So I can make sure and hear you guys and that you can hear me. But yeah, today is move day, big day. I'm excited about it. I've been in this place that I'm currently living for, gosh, I don't know. It's been about 6 years or so, which I think is the longest I've ever lived anywhere. I'm an Army brat. I grew up a military kid, so we were moving all the time. It's literally, I believe, the longest I've ever lived in a single location. And I get antsy. I get ready to move. So I am ready to move. Really excited about my new place. And a big reason for the move, my youngest daughter started high school, and she it has always been able to walk to school her entire life, which I've been very grateful for. It's nice to have her so close to her school that she can just walk back and forth for a number of different reasons. One of the reasons, though, is I enjoy walking with her. And so she has started high school. So this new place that I'm moving to is walking distance to her high school. It's also much closer to the beach, which is nice. And and it's very, very nice, and so we're looking forward to getting in there, which will be later on today. So that's exciting. Um, Terry says I'm at work, but going to squeeze in my questions before they end. Awesome. Good. Well, look, welcome to Office Hours, everybody. If you're new to Office Hours, this is pure Q&A. I don't have any agenda for you, so I'm just fielding questions and trying to do my best to be helpful. You can enter your questions here into the comments. I'm also going to put in a link where you can join me on camera if you would like. I believe I'm going to do that. Let's see here. And the reason I say I believe I'm going to do that is the layout of StreamYard seems to have changed. So let me find out how I do this. Here we go. Cool. Awesome. There we go. So I just put a link in here into the comments. You can use that link to join me on camera if you'd like to have a conversation. Um, and I will also check our community for questions. Alan said, am I still partying in Spain? So I appreciate this last week, your flexibility. I did not have my office hours because I was partying in Spain. My good friend was celebrating a milestone birthday, and so flew out there and hung out there for 4 or 5 days with them. And I love Spain. I've always loved Spain, and so I'll take any excuse to get out there and visit them. So it was a good time. So I appreciate flexibility this last week. Hope you had a good week, and we are back in action. So let me know any questions you have. First, got to be a first question. Somebody put in that first question, and we'll get after it. Otherwise, we'll sit here and stare at each other awkwardly. Let me go look at the community. Blair asks, how do we add the website that Mike has given us? Where is it? Thank you. The website is in the R6 snapshot, and you can add it by going to that snapshot and referencing those files, adding that snapshot to your sub account, and then referencing those files and making your edits and hitting publish is generally the process. But of course, there's a little bit more to it than that, but it's pretty darn simple to publish the website in HighLevel. So, all right, let's see here. Michael says, I'm struggling with technical aspects of funnels, automations, setting up call to action buttons, etc. Specifically, I am at the step of setting up my website in R6 funnels. What would you recommend? Well, I guess, Michael, so a couple things. I would say one is HighLevel is going to be doing a training on funnels specifically. Coming up here, you'll see us promoting it in the next handful of days. So I would recommend you get on that. I think you'll learn some stuff about funnels. You probably won't learn too much about the technical aspects of it on the training, but you'll be connected to the HighLevel community during that training, and so you could ask some specific questions on the technical side. I would recommend, if you haven't, make sure that you're going into HighLevel's help tutorials, and their YouTube channel has a lot of tutorials on how to actually use the technical aspects of the tool in terms of, like you mentioned, call to action buttons and automations and things like that. I would recommend that you take a look at those tutorial videos to maybe get some specific details about how to move forward and whatever is kind of the sticking point for you. And then, man, the most important thing, honestly, is just sitting and playing with it, which I know is not necessarily the answer that you want to hear, because that takes time. But in my experience, the best way to really get to know how to do these things that you're talking about, Michael, is just to sit and play with it, make some mistakes, goof some things up, figure out why, go back and fix it, and just kind of repeat that until you are feeling like you're getting more solid. That's certainly all I did. Starting pre HighLevel in terms of how to use builders and automation, workflow builders and things like that. It just takes some time, and there's not too much of a shortcut to that, Michael, other than, again, going and looking at those specific video tutorials to try and give you a bit of a shortcut there. Um, and then, Michael, I don't know what your vision is for your business, what your resources are, things like that. I've got to tell you, I started an IT management company that I built and sold some time ago, that I did not know a dang thing about computers, computer networking, how to troubleshoot any of that stuff. I didn't know the first thing about any of it. I just knew it was a business problem that small businesses had, and that they could pay money to get those problems fixed. And so what I did was I said, okay, I'm the sales marketing guy. I need to find the technical guy that can solve these problems and hire him. And, essentially, I mean, this is literally what I told him. It's pretty funny because I still work with him. He's here today. uh, his first day on the job, he sat down and I said, hey, sometime in the next month, I'm going to make this phone ring, and it's going to be somebody that's got a computer problem. And if you can't fix it, we're out of business. So please fix it. that was my motivational speech. The point being, Michael, that I think many of us, when we're getting started with businesses like this, we assume that we have to do everything and learn everything. I still, after having built that business to millions and millions of dollars and selling it, I could not tell you how to set up a network or fix a computer if my life depended on it. So it was all just hiring people and me focusing on sales and marketing. So that may also be a path that you want to take, is just find, you don't have to hire a full-time person, hire a contractor and just say, hey, look, I'd like you available X number of hours a week, or just hourly to start. And want you to be, my right-hand man and helping me execute on these things so I don't have to. Okay. And then, Michael, if you haven't, I should say, if you haven't gone through my agency sales funnel bootcamp, that's where I walk through like how to set up the basics of your website and your funnels and things like that. So hopefully that will help you. Bunch of questions. Okay. Is there a good source for generic onboarding videos or FAQs? I do not believe so. And I think that I think that those things do exist, but I do not believe that you should be using them. And the reason why I say that is that onboarding and FAQs are one of your most important opportunities to get your customers successfully activated with your services and really build long-term momentum with them. That onboarding process is absolutely critical. So I would highly, highly recommend that everything in your onboarding process is made by you so that you are putting your personal touch, you're putting your voice, um, you are addressing the specific things that you know that your customers need to have addressed. I would highly recommend that you do that all yourself. FAQs, there's plenty of FAQ resources out there. You could get those from HL Pro Tools. I know has that type of thing. Um, I would just post in the HighLevel community as well and ask because I think there's going to be all kinds of people in there selling that type of thing. But FAQs, I think that could be helpful to get a generic, version of. I would just go through them and just make sure that any opportunity that you have to tailor them that's going to make it a better fit for your customers, I would just go ahead and do that. Paul says, did you mention the snapshots were available? Yes. Where do we see the ones available to us? Yes, Paul. So our snapshots absolutely are available to all of our customers. If you are in high leverage agency, or really for that matter, any of our courses like HighLevel Fast Start, R6, there will be a resources section in there that will have the snapshots. Okay. Currently, I do not have a lot of clients in one niche. Obviously, working with one niche makes it easier, less work to onboard. What do you suggest in the meantime? Just grow a new niche? Yeah, I mean, Paul, I think the ideal strategy for lots of reasons is to have a niche that you have concentration in. Like you said, it makes service delivery easier. It ultimately at some point will make sales easier because you get a reputation in that space. It makes your marketing more focused, and it can make you more valuable when it comes time to sell your business if you want to do that. So I think ultimately that's the way to go. I know a lot of people start without a specific niche, and that's totally fine. I think when you're getting started, pretty much anything just to get momentum, get revenue, and start learning is fine. But ideally, what I think that you would do is 6 months, I'd say maximum a year into it, after you've had some experience working with a variety of different customers from a variety of different markets, I would then try and lock in on a niche and say, hey, this is at least going to be my concentration of my effort. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to say no to any other type of customer. Certainly, again, in those early days, you just kind of want to keep revenue coming. But I think, yes, ideally 6 months to a year into it, you kind of pinpoint, a niche that you say, this is what I'm going to focus on, and then you go for it. Jared says, I've learned how to create workflows and automations, and I'd rather pay someone to do it for me. Yes, broad question. What ballpark should I expect to pay for a follow-up sequence workflow? Oh, gosh. I mean, almost nothing, Darren. I say that because like a follow-up sequence workflow, you could just download that from the snapshot that we have at any time and just put it in. All you have to do is just do minor edits of the copy. So if I was paying somebody in the Philippines to help me with that, they could probably just do that in an hour. So $15, maybe something like that. I mean, essentially next to nothing. So anybody that's out there quoting you some fancy high price stuff, you should definitely run from that. Um, Question about making the business model work with small businesses. After setup, how do we set up expectations with clients about how much I do each month to maintain? By time, by things done? So, Darlene, my recommendation to you is that it is never in all cases possible, do not make it based on your time. Okay, you want your value proposition to be based on access to assets and automation. Okay, you'll hear me say that in a bunch of my videos and things. You want to sell access to assets and automation. So, access to the assets being the software, the campaigns that you've created, the workflows that you've created. Okay, you are selling them access to that on a monthly basis. And then you're delivering services as much as possible through automation, right? Letting the software do the job of the work for you. There may be cases where you have to build time and talent, as I call it, okay? Assets and automation versus time and talent. We want to do everything that we can with assets and automation, minimize as much as possible time and talent. But there are services that you may need to deliver using some time and talent. And there's going to be some sort of support and service costs for essentially any type of customer, no matter how assets and automation based you make it. But I would prefer in just about all cases that time is not directly pitched as the value component of your service delivery. And so what I mean by that is if I charge you $497 a month and I say that a newsletter will get created for you as part of our service. So you're going to get all the cool things with HighLevel. You're going to get our email, SMS. You're going to get funnels, all that type of stuff. But in addition, we are actually going to create and send an email newsletter for you so that you don't have to do that. Okay, that's a really, really nice higher touch service that has high perceived value. I would not, as part of my $497 price point, say, hey, Darlene, out of that $497, the newsletter creation and delivery is an hour and a half of our time at $150 an hour, and that's how we get to this $497 price point. I would not do that at all. It would be $497. Here's all the things that are included, including a newsletter and delivery of that newsletter. I would never have any conversation with the customer about the time involved to execute that. So, and there's all kinds of reasons for that, but the most important reason is that your goal should be to continue to make that more and more automated over time. So if we get hundreds of customers that we're doing newsletters for, we're going to make that as efficient as possible, as automated as possible. We're going to use AI on the back end. We're going to do all those things. So our time involved in creating that newsletter should go down, 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 down. Well, we don't want our prices to have to go down because of that. We don't want our value proposition to be perceived as less because somebody's spending less time on it, right? So I do not mention time at all in any of our services, with the exception of, okay, we have always had like little side menus of add-on services that our customers may need. So let me just give you an example. Would be customer calls up and says, hey, right now we don't have a reservations page on our website, and we'd like to have a reservations page. Could you help us build out a reservations page on our website? So in that case, there would be some one-time manual effort that's required by somebody on our team to go in and build that page out. And we would charge them a one-time fee for that. And we would have some sort of agreement on the limitations of the time that we're going to put into that for that price. So if we say, hey, we'll build you a new page, it's $297. I still usually don't pitch that on time. The way I pitch it is I say it's $297. You get the one website. It's going to have these core features and functionality to it, and you get 2 rounds of revisions. Anything beyond those rounds of revisions will be billed on an hourly basis at X dollars an hour. But you almost never get to that point because in those 2 hours of revisions, you get it knocked out. I mean, in those 2 rounds of revisions, you get it knocked out. So $297, our team would put together a first version of that page, present it to the customer. Customer would say, make these changes. We'd go back, make those changes, present it to the customer. Customer would say, make these changes, present it, give it back. It should be done in almost all cases at that point. But sometimes there's a customer that's like, I want those buttons a little more rounded, and I want this and that. And okay, from this point forward, it's $150 an hour. We're billing on an hourly basis in 15-minute increments, that type of thing. So that's the only time that I'm really introducing time as a variable or component of value in our services. Okay. Our ideal model is selling access to assets and automation, and we want to stick to that as closely as possible. Okay. Alan says, I know I'm selling a system as a setup fee and MRR. However, I'm always feeling that I should be adding value with extra workflows and helping clients each month. How do I get over that feeling? Alan, I love hearing this question. I'm smiling because this is me in the early stages of building my businesses. Exact same thing. I had this service mentality that, if you've been brought up in service businesses in your career, which I was, like I worked for Disney, in college. I worked for restaurants and things like that. And I loved service businesses. I loved the idea that you could hustle and add value to somebody's life and get paid for it. Like that to me was actually just appealing originally. Now I'm all about assets and automation because I realize what a bad business model hustle is. I think the most important thing, Alan, is that you need to realize the flaw in that model. Just very logically realize, oh geez, if I'm continuing to do this on this kind of one-off basis with my customers, I'm never really going to be able to scale this business and make it profitable. And then the other, I think, thing to just realize is how much value you are adding through your existing tools and services, and that when you want to add new value to those customers, to those services, there's so many things that you can do in a scalable way rather than doing those kind of one-off adding value to the clients. So, HighLevel is always rolling out new features, right? And so instead of doing anything one-off for a particular customer, you can announce, hey, this new feature, this new capability is now available to you, and we've put together a little training course for you on how to take advantage of it or whatever. But do that at scale across your customers in an organized way like that, instead of doing any kind of one-off hustle work for your customers. The other thing, Alan, I think is, like, I know there's a lot of people that still struggle with this, and I struggled with this in the early days as well, is that whatever your customers are paying you can seem like a lot of money to you, right? Just because it's like early days in your business, and it's like every penny matters so much. It also could be because you personally, and I'm not necessarily speaking to you, Alan, I'm speaking to kind of everybody here. You personally maybe have never made a lot of money in your life, and so money to you can seem like one of those things that's like so precious that you've got to bend over backwards to get it. And hopefully you can just realize that it's not really the case. I mean, if you're charging small businesses $297, $497, $697, $997, it's just not a lot of money at all. It's just not. I mean, people spend that much money, to $297 to go out to a decent dinner, $997 a month. They spend that on all kinds of things, oftentimes without even thinking about it. So you just got to realize that the dollar amount that you're talking about here is not very much, and it's all psychology. It's all psychology of money. And actually, that's a great book, right? The Psychology of Money. Who the heck wrote that? And there's a couple of other books out there on your own psychology of money. I would absolutely highly recommend that you get those and read those. Those were super helpful for me in getting to the point where I could finally kind of let go of some of those things. It's funny because once you hit certain milestones in your life, financially, I found, and this is true. This is true for any area of your life. Fitness, finances, anything. Tony Robbins talks about how it's kind of like setting a thermometer. Setting a thermostat, I should say. So like in your house or in your apartment, you have a thermostat, and it goes too low. The temperature goes too low, the heat kicks in, right? And if it gets too hot, the air conditioning kicks in. And he talks about how that your personal standards operate in a very similar way. And I found this to be very true. And it can be very, very frustrating when you're aware of it because you're like, damn it, why do I have that thermostat and how do I reset it? Because, I have enough experience making enough money now that if I were to, start talking about money below a certain threshold, like in my brain, it would immediately kick off this, no, we can't, we can't be doing anything for that small amount of money. We gotta kick this up. And at the same time, if somebody told me, hey, Mike, you could be making X millions of dollars a year, passive cash flow every year, there's a point there where I'd go, I think that's kind of bullshit. Like somebody's selling me a story, right? The reality is there's somebody out there making that much money, probably a lot of people out there making that much money. And so I've just got my own personal threshold where I start to get skeptical of it and start to think, oh, maybe that's not possible or whatever. We all have that range, and being conscious of your range is the first step to resetting it, and setting it deliberately. So I hope that helps you. I love the psychology of entrepreneurship. I love the psychology of money. It's fascinating to me. As well as SEO, should we be getting into answer engine optimization for clients? When you say answer engine optimization, I'm not sure. Are you referring to Neil Patel's? He's got that what is it? I can't remember. He's got a tool that specifically answer the public or something like that. I can't remember where it's like a Q&A kind of search tool, and I think it gets a lot of traffic. Or are you saying like as in trying to optimize around the AI, ChatGPT, Groks, things like that? I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to there. So if you let me know, I can try and help. I have never been a big fan of SEO. I avoided SEO like the plague from a service perspective, my entire career pretty much, because SEO is a black box. You really don't have control over that. You can temporarily know the tactics and things that work, but if Google or somebody else decides that they want to change their algorithm, you're kind of starting over. That's a fine game to play if you're selling to big companies that can afford to spend on your effort to really stay on top of that, because then the SEO, the value of that SEO to them is great, right? If you're dealing with small businesses, any SEO work, any optimization work really needs to be based on assets and automation still. So HighLevel's got SEO tools available through it now. SEO for small businesses is oftentimes just a matter of implementing the basics, right? Just very fundamental keyword optimization and structure of the site and things like that. So all of that is well and good. Anything that you're doing that's manual effort beyond that, Alan, if you're not selling it to bigger businesses, I would tell you not to do it, because I think that you're just putting yourself in a bad spot. Tim Fender, good to see you, sir. Tim, the legend. Love seeing you here. Bruno, you want to come on camera? Let's do it. How's it going, sir?
Not bad. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you. How can I help you?
I can't believe you're doing this on a moving day. You're nuts, dude. That's the most stressful things in life. And you're, wow. I guess you're dedicated to us because there's no chance in hell I'd be doing anything like this for people. So, thanks, man. I
I
don't know.
I skipped
Um,
last week to goof around. I can't skip 2 weeks in a row.
yeah, right. Right. Okay. So then, in respect of time, I've only been in this a couple times, but per usual, I have kind of a handful of questions, but I
Yeah,
think
go for it.
it might uh, benefit other people too. And life got in the way. I haven't had a chance to do much at all. It sucks. My cousin got married in Greece a couple weeks ago. We were there for a while, and
Nice,
finally having some time to myself. I'm in Chicago, kept a photograph an engagement session, but
nice.
anyhow, I'm really wanting to transition to doing this. I'm kind of over my wedding photography business, but my main question, thing I wanted to ask you is like, you might recall, I have experience using Go High Level with another agency that had it for a while.
Hmm.
But I've really figured out the nuts and bolts. I know how to sell, all that kind of a thing. I finally have a couple months where I don't have commitments and things to do, and I want to go
Focus.
full
Yep.
steam ahead. What it's hard to figure out what exactly I'm trying to ask you, but how can I hit the ground running? Like, I want to just get it going and start selling right away.
Yeah.
Um, is that even possible? Like, I've been thinking about all sorts of things in my mind. Like earlier in the video, you were mentioning, people when they get started, they'll just take kind of whatever business they can get, and they may not do the niche thing right away.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I think I might actually try and uh, hit up like wedding and portrait photographers. I live in Sarasota, and that happens all the time. And I know these people. There's probably people that don't have like a booking system or like email and text reminders for like a photo session or something. So
Of
I
course,
might,
the far,
right?
far, far majority of wedding photographers, that would be the
Yeah,
case.
man. Yeah, man. So I think that's like an area I want to lean into. I even thought about, I know we're not supposed to sell it as just like a software as a service, but I even thought of it as just to get some money in the door and revenue and stuff like that. Is that somewhat acceptable, or like would you say still have some sort of service attached to it?
You're not going to get money. You're not going to get money in the door any easier just by selling the software.
Okay.
You're gonna. It's. It may seem that way for whatever reason in your mind. That's not going to be the case. It will be a better opportunity for you to sell the value proposition of your system and services, um, because it is a higher. I mean, it's a higher price point, and you're
Yeah.
going to get a unique value proposition in the marketplace. Tools are complete commodities. Software is a complete commodity. It's and now today more so than it's ever been because of AI. So and it's that's just going to that trend's just going to continue. So you want to sell the value add of what you're helping them with. So you got experience as a wedding photographer. You should be speaking to them as, hey, as a wedding photographer myself, I know the challenges of building the business and the things that you need to be doing, and I know you're not doing them, and I can help you. Um, so yeah, sell the whole package there.
So at the very least, sell some sort of foot in the door service attached with access to Go High Level, right?
Yes, and so just to just to make sure, just kind of cover this, what I mean by selling like a system as a service instead of just selling tools. If you're selling to a photographer, a wedding photographer, and you sell them tools, well, now a wedding photographer's got to sit down and go, okay, great, I have these tools. Bruno said I can go to the moon and back with these tools. Now what? I guess I've got to learn them to try and figure out how to set up opt-in forms and follow-up sequences, and how many messages should I send in follow-up sequence. I've never done that before. Should it be email? Should it be SMS? Should it be through social? Should it be all of the above? Should I make phone calls? So those are all the questions that you should answer for them, and you should design into HighLevel to create your system. So you should say, I've created the wedding photographer business system, right? And it includes these 7 critical follow-up sequences, these 2 critical opt-in things, your booking system, the ability to send SMS reminders, before the wedding day, like whatever that is, your ability to actually sell and upsell packages, through our e-commerce capabilities. So you want to actually design that for those photographers so that when you give it to them, it's not them sitting down and trying to learn software and trying to understand strategies of funnels. It's sitting down and going, oh, Bruno already created the funnel. Awesome. We just turned it on by paying him $4.97 a month, and now we have all this stuff working for us.
So then I think the way to go then would indeed to be a booking system, because that's something I built out for myself, which is the whole catalyst for me to be like, wait a minute, I can sell this to other people, and
Awesome.
it's pretty slick if I use this on myself. And
That's
so
perfect.
that would probably be the is it does it work to like lean on one main thing that
Absolutely.
like okay,
Absolutely. If that's a critical pain point in that business, leaning on that is absolutely
you
a
know
viable way to do it. Yep.
okay. Okay. So then in the idea of hitting the ground running and stuff like that, and I have to apologize because I haven't been through all your training yet, so this might be
Okay.
answered there. But I keep getting hung up on my mind of, okay, well, let's say I sell somebody on it, like cool, right? But then there's the onboarding, like, and my brain is making it seem like it might make it like a bigger thing than it is. Can you quickly kind of like what steps do we have to do with that? In my mind, I'm thinking about the what's it called, like the two LC, LD, whatever, like the compliance stuff for texting
Mm-hmm.
and emails. I'm setting them up with like a Twilio number and all that kind of a
Mm-hmm.
thing. What are the things I'm trying to figure out? How fast can I go from even having them pick a package, buy it on like Click, pay for the first month. Maybe they get emails of like, hey, make sure you like, book your like onboarding thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how quickly can I get that done? What do I have to do? What's the minimal things that I have to do to get them be able to use it and stuff like that?
Yeah. So yes. So what I teach in my training is that we sell this phase called the surge. I call it the surge. You can call it
Yeah,
whatever the heck you want, but it's
yeah,
essentially this period of time where you're going to do the effort of getting the customer set up, getting them onboarded, activating the initial services, things like that. Um, Depending on what you're selling, that surge could only take you a day. It could take you a month. It's somewhere I recommend typically somewhere between a week and 2 weeks is a good onboarding period of time, a good surge period of time that you could do just about anything that you need to do and have some time and some flexibility so that you're giving yourself a little bit of breathing room, right? So that you're not feeling like, oh my God, I have to execute these things overnight. Um, so what I recommend is that you have some sort of surge fee, some sort of startup fee, initial fee that you're charging people. So let's say it's
okay.
$4.97 a month for your service, but it's $9.97 is the one-time setup onboarding training fee. And then you could decide to negotiate that, use that just as a negotiating point if you want to. But let's say you collect that 997. Now you're getting some cash up front. So you're not just
That's
waiting
the
for the
helpful.
monthly to get started.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you set your customers' expectations. Say, hey, here's what we're setting up for you. It's going to take us approximately 2 weeks total time to get that thing built for you, customized for you, and do the training and the onboarding to have you ready to go. And what I recommend is that you just break that down into whatever major steps that will help the customer understand here's what's going to happen. So, step number one, Mr. Customer, we need some information collected from you. It's absolutely critical that we get this information as soon as possible because we need it for the rest of our build process. So, that could just be their basic information, about their business, address, all that type of stuff. So that when you set up the HighLevel account, you're setting up the correct information
And
for
actually,
them.
on I imagine it also includes like image asset files, like logos and
Mm-hmm.
vector files, and any maybe like imagery they have. How do you find it works best to collect that, like a Dropbox folder, perhaps?
Yep. Google Drive folder, Dropbox folder. Yep. Just give them access to something to upload it to.
And what am I missing something? I mean, logo, the brand colors if they have it. I mean, every business is they might
Images
be
if they have it. Yep. Copy if they have standard copy they want to use for whatever, like if I was building them in a new website, if they had standard about us, copy that they wanted to use or standard
font
copy
texture.
about the history of their business and things like that they wanted to use, profiles of their team, things like that they wanted to use. We collect whatever we could. A lot of these things you could just swipe right off of their existing website and stuff. So
Yeah.
if they are struggling to get you stuff, And that's kind of the way I position it. So step number one, you want to collect, and so since you're mentioning things like photography, things like that. Step number one, you want to collect the basic information you need to get the account set up and going. You don't want to put any other hurdles in the way of that, because anything else that you're adding, collecting pictures, stuff like that, it's just going to delay, because people are going to take their time and think through,
Oh,
which pictures do I really want to get them?
I see what you're
So,
saying. So
so
like
make
give them
that
a
step
first,
two.
like the only thing I want you to worry about right now is like your basic info, and then maybe later. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, just make that
Okay.
a step two. So step one, we're collecting your business information to get your account going. Step two, we're collecting these assets to actually help us build what we're building for you. Step three, we're going to reveal to you the system when our team is finished building it, and we're going to get feedback from you and potentially do a round of revisions on the look and feel of it or whatever to make sure it's really dialed into your brand. Step four, we're going to do onboarding training for you so that you and your team know how to use it. Step five, launch day, we're going to go live. So
Interesting.
just
What if
major milestones like that.
are you okay with the idea of like, because if it were for me,
Mm-hmm.
like I would want to be able to at least have access to the system and start poking around, at least the CRM part of it as soon as possible. No, so you're saying let them wait, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking like a week or two to get things set up properly. No. You want to set things up properly, and then you want to take them through a thoughtful onboarding and training process. Don't want
Uh,
them just going and poking around and things. Absolutely
that
not.
was not my experience of the agency that I was using for. They essentially kept. Said this to you before. It was basically just as software as a service, basically. But um, that's interesting. Okay, so now I get it. So that's why the process takes 2 weeks, because you're not getting access immediately. You're trying to space it out and not make it overwhelming, I suppose.
Yeah, and just the reality is stuff takes time. You're not gonna send them a request for information and then that minute they're gonna sit down and respond to it. I mean, some customers you're literally going to have to like call them up and berate them to try and get the information from them because
Yeah.
I'm busy, man. I'm doing this now. I got six weddings this weekend. You're gonna have to like be on them, and that is one of the most important things to know about onboarding is you should expect that you're going to have to push onboarding through. Human nature for a lot of these people is they're just going to delay, they're going to put it off, and then the next thing you know, they're going to go, Bruno, you know what? I'm just too busy right now. It's not the right time. And then you're going to lose that customer. So you can't let that happen. You have to push onboarding. You have to say, hey, look, we need that business information from you. We still need it from you. Hey, I'm going to call you right now. You know what we're going to do? We're going to open up a Zoom. I'm going to screen share, and we'll just fill it out together. How about that? We'll just knock this out real quick. Like
Interesting.
literally, you got to be on them. So, yeah, no, you want to drive this process, but there's going to be it's just going to take time. 2 weeks
Does it
is
have
not a
to,
lot of time.
does it have to be like a Zoom call, do it together thing, or can we just be sending them emails with a link to like a survey and
No,
they'll
no,
fill it?
I'm using that as an example, as if somebody doesn't get it done and you're trying to push it through.
Like,
You may need to get on the phone with them and push it through.
okay, so then is that where it becomes helpful to have a like a VA or something from the Philippines to help them with that? Because to me, this sounds like sort of bottleneck, right? Like I
Sounds like what? A bottleneck?
yeah, like if
Yeah,
I
but you're
go
talking about signing up a customer, right? I mean, you're not going to go out and sign up 10 customers tomorrow. You're going to sign up one customer, and then you're going to sign up another customer, and
I
then
I've
if
locked in these goals, man. I don't know.
I understand, but if you look at the model that I have built for you, if you get to the point where you're consistently signing 4 or 5 customers a month, you've built yourself a nice 7-figure recurring revenue business just in the next couple of years.
I mean,
So,
because yeah, I want to try and keep it somewhat simple. I mean, uh, there's a
hold
program.
on, Bruno. Hold on, Bruno. Let me answer. Let me give you a more complete answer though to that question because this is absolutely critical. Right? What I would recommend that you do is go over to Google when we get done with this and type in Superhuman Guide to Onboarding. Superhuman, all one word. It's a software company. Superhuman. Okay, Guide to
Oh, it's the
Onboarding.
email service that you like.
Yes, and they
Right.
have absolutely set the standard in Silicon Valley for how you properly onboard customers to get the highest ROI and retention out of your customer base. And you will read their story about how they approached onboarding. They made every single customer go through a manual onboarding where you had to sit down with their team one-on-one and go through how to use the software. And they did that for their first, like, I can't remember how many thousands of customers, until they then finally made it more automated because they had really figured it out, the step-by-steps. But the point of that being, you need to really fully appreciate the value of this onboarding and not look at it as something that's just a bottleneck that you want to hand off to somebody in the Philippines. You
Well,
need to you need to look at this. Let me finish on it. You need to look at this because everybody needs to hear this. You need to look at this as a strategic opportunity to keep this customer for years, and that means that you need to nail it, right? You need to give some high touch.
okay. Okay. And it wouldn't even would it work to do similar like weekly calls like this that can kind of help people with like onboarding and learning the program and
That should be in addition. Yes, you should have a weekly office hours call, just like I do. Have a weekly office hours call with your customers and to say, hey, look, we're available 3 p.m. every Wednesday. Any challenges you're having, our team's going to be there ready to assist.
okay. So then, all right, I'll do this some more. Then, if I do figure out a way to sell people, like a bunch, then I guess that's a good problem to have. What price points have you seen tolerated for setup fees amongst like your students and your own experience and stuff like that? Because there was a guy like a month ago on the call that he was doing like $1,500 a month, uh, like not usage fees, subscription fees. What can you aim for? You know, so I don't know. I don't know what numbers to aim for.
I think it's, I mean, any numbers, like if you look at the startup fees that HubSpot charges anywhere from $3,000 to like $8,000 for a startup fee, mandatory startup fee. So that's for somebody who's coming in and buying like their software suite. Like then they have a bunch of little foot in the door software tools that you can get started on for free. That there is no onboarding fee or anything. But if you're coming in on their full suite, they have a mandatory. So can you charge that amount of money? Yes. If I was charging just a simple foot in the door service, if I was just selling a simple foot in the door service, I would make sure my starter fee was a small price. Or no startup fee at all, right? Because the whole point of a foot in the door service is just to turn them into a customer as fast as possible.
Right.
So, but I like for that initial surge phase anywhere around $1,000 to $5,000 on the high end with small businesses. I think is a nice range where
Okay.
some people are going to choke on that higher price point, but you can still sell a lot of those depending on the value of your system that you're pitching. But I'd say in most cases, if people are starting somewhere between the $1,000 and $2,500 range, that's
Okay.
a nice range. People can afford that. It's enough to pay for you to do quite a bit of work during that surge phase.
Right.
And if you said you're charging $150 an hour and you got $1,500, that's 10 hours of work. If you're hiring somebody that's $20 an hour to help you, then that's a lot more work. I mean, you've got good bandwidth there to get a lot done.
Okay. So like 1,000, or like maybe we'd call it 997 should be tolerated, and maybe I'd play with that a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. Kind of another random question. Do you recommend us having packages right on our website, or
Yeah,
is it starting
I do
price?
personally. That you just put them right on the website, put price points right on the website. Um, the the reason why I recommend that is because I would rather have my customers come to me informed, my prospects, I should say, come to me informed about what my prices are and all that, so I don't have to do any haggling, negotiation, BS. Wait until the final steps of the sales process to present my price and somehow magically, wow them into buying from me, like a lot of sales trainers will tell you to do. I would much, much, much rather the speed and simplicity of, we have 3 packages. They're right on our website. You can see the price points right there. If you have any questions, let us know.
Okay. Have you seen differences of like having like 3 packages, the top one being an anchor price point, or do you like the idea of doing perhaps even a 4th anchor price point?
I personally don't like the idea of doing a 4th. There's all kinds of psychological studies out there about this.
Right.
In my experience, having 3 is fantastic because human nature says X percentage of people will always just want the cheapest thing. X percentage of people will always just want the most expensive thing. And then the majority of people will want the in between because they feel like both of those they're probably getting ripped off in some way. And so if you know that, then you can anchor that center package in particular to be at the right price point, right margins, right service delivery, and everything that's going to make you real happy and make them real happy.
Okay. I am like, I have um, like I said, ready to go for this. I'm willing to do like door-to-door stuff or whatever. Like, um, what would maybe a script look like to just be cold calling businesses? And would you recommend like walking into like a business and like saying hi, or is that a good idea?
The, the only reason I do that is if I was selling to like restaurants or something like that, and I was in a big city where there's a ton of restaurants all within X city blocks, and so I could just literally go restaurant to restaurant to restaurant. Toast is a very successful company that's their sales model in big cities. Um,
Really? Okay.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the only reason that works is because of the density of restaurants that they're selling to in
Yeah.
those big cities. So, but no, if you're selling to like a wedding photographer business, I mean, no, I mean, you can have one here, one on the other side of town, one on the other side of town. I mean, you're just going to waste all your time just driving around to get to these guys. There's no point
So
to it.
keep it on the phone and stuff like that.
Keep it on the phone, keep it on email, social media. You should be doing content marketing. You could send them a direct mail piece, some cool direct mail piece. Like if there's only, this is one thing I would love to stress to anybody who's thinking about how do I get the attention of these prospects. If you're selling to wedding photographers in your market, how many wedding photographers are there in your market?
I couldn't tell you right now. I haven't looked.
Let's just
Wow.
say, let's say it's crazy. It's 100. Okay, 100 wedding photographers in your
Way more.
town that you're
Yeah.
way
Okay.
more.
Probably
How
it's
big
at
is your
least
how big is
500.
your city that you're living in?
There's
Oop, I think you cut out on me, Bruno. It's like Bruno is frozen. Oh, there you
okay.
are.
Maybe.
You're back. Sorry, how big
Yeah,
is your city?
I think it's like 44,000. But we have Siesta Key Beach. It's like the number one beach according to TripAdvisor voters
Got
in the
it, got
United
it, got it.
States. So
Okay,
family sessions, maternity sessions, that's almost perhaps bigger than weddings. So
got it.
yeah.
Okay. Let's say that there is 500 professional photographers that you want to target in your market. Um, it would be shocking to me if there's more than that. We're talking about what is that? 5% of the population? I don't know. But let's say it's 500. Okay, you can do an amazing direct mail piece for $10. So for $5,000, you could put a really impressive direct mail piece in the hands of every single one of those if you wanted to. If you said, hey, I only need to do 50 at a time to get their attention, make sure I have some real good sales conversations, and then next month I'll do 50, you could spend $25, let's say $20, just to make it easy math, on each of those. You can do a crazy impressive direct mail piece for 20 bucks. And now you're talking $1,000 in total marketing spend to get a conversation with almost every one of those people. And I know
Mm.
this because with my IT services, this is exactly what I would do. I would put together these crazy over the top direct mail pieces and I would send them out to just like 50 or 100 people at a time. And we would get calls with almost every single person because our direct mail piece was so outlandish and stood out so much that it really got their attention and separated us from the pack. So it is a very, very cost effective and time effective way to get
Interesting.
in the door with small businesses. And most of you will completely ignore that advice because you go, oh, I just want to automate email and I should just be able to send 20,000 emails every day and automated and my life's going to be so easy. And everybody ignores your damn email because it's spam. And so you get a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage response. And, the math never works out really in your favor. So
Yeah.
doing things like that to stand out will work really well for you.
What Facebook groups are a big thing for photographers, portrait and wedding
Mm-hmm.
photographers. So that's kind of what for that niche, that's what I want to kind of focus on, I suppose. But I still do want to hit up local service businesses, plumbers, electricians, so on and so forth. Mobile car detailing, there's a ton of that in Florida. And I have no problem calling. I'll make 200 calls a day. I don't care.
Mhm.
Can you share a script, or are there scripts in R6 or anything?
Scripts, yeah, there are, but scripts just got to be super, super simple, straight to the point. Nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody wants your call. So
Right.
it's just got to be very, very direct. Hey, Bruno, this is Mike with Super Duper Marketing. I help wedding photographers like you get more bookings, ideally increase bookings by 25% in the first month. I would love to have just a few minutes to explain to you how I do that and see if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. You're gonna
Yeah.
get brushed. You're gonna get brushed off 90% of the time.
Right.
So a brush off just means, oh my God, this is a salesperson. I just want to get off the phone, so I'm going to say
Yeah.
anything I have to do. So you've got to have a response system. The brush off response system is to agree with whatever they're saying, and then ask a question to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So Bruno says, "Hey, sorry, I don't have any time for that," and I say, "Hey, Bruno, I know wedding photographer like you is busy. That's exactly what my best customers come to me to solve by helping them automate a booking system that's going to free up some of their time, help them make more money, and actually have a life again." You know what I'm talking about, Bruno?
Right.
Let me ask you a question, and then you ask him a question to continue the
Yeah.
conversation and try and
Yeah.
keep them on there.
There's a guy who's got really good stuff about that on Jeremy Minor, I think is his,
Oh yeah.
that dude's got like, he's got it locked down. I love his content a lot.
Cool.
Okay, come on.
All right, one last one, Bruno. I got to get to other people.
Okay, that's fair.
Make it
Man,
a good one.
gotta pick it. I have to make sure it's going. Okay, because this is kind of, what would be key points that we should be sure to have in a terms of service contract?
Mm, Key points to have in a terms of service contract. One, I would just go into ChatGPT and ask it to write it for you.
I was
So,
already going to do that, but I
okay,
love
cool.
your personal input.
Um,
Problems you've had in the past with people, or I don't know.
Honestly, the only thing that I would even care about really in my terms of service is how is how you present to them the opportunity to get feedback before they cancel. So let me explain what I mean by that. In my terms of service, my almost my entire terms of service was just this paragraph that said, "Hey Bruno, um, it's our intention to work with you on a long-term basis to help you build your business. That's the mindset of our team. That's the investment that we're making as a team into a long-term relationship with you. And we understand that sometimes our services may miss the mark. If that's ever the case, all we ask is that you give us the opportunity to correct it by giving us direct feedback. And then if we can't correct it and you need to get out of our service agreement and do something else, we understand, and we ask for 30 days notice to do that, and that's it.
Okay.
That literally was like the heart of our entire service agreement, because again, this is all about customer retention, right?
Okay.
And so we're just trying to get those customers to be like on the same page of being in a partnership with us and giving us the opportunity to correct anything that's going wrong before they cancel. You don't want surprise cancellations. So that's really the only thing I cared about. Otherwise, there's going to be a bunch of boilerplate stuff. Here's our business hours. Here's your data. Here's your right to your data. Here's our privacy approach. Here's whatever, just like all the basic stuff. We bill you on this day every month. If you're ever late with your payment, if the card is declined, anything like that, you have 7 days to correct it, or else we pause services. Like
Yeah.
just all the basic boilerplate stuff.
Teeny follow up. Do you like the idea of perhaps like when you sign up with us, there's a minimum 6-month commitment before you can cancel or something? Is that a good idea, or is it shy? Make people not
It's
scare them away.
it's putting an additional roadblock into getting deals done. However, what I would say is that HubSpot completely changed their business by requiring that customers, well, by presenting that customers prepay for a year in advance. So you prepay for a year in advance, and that's
Oh,
the
I forgot about
standard.
that. Yeah, right.
That's the standard pitch that you make, and then you back down from there. I understand maybe you can't make the full year payment in advance. That's right. It's a year payment. I mean, it's a year agreement, but we can bill you quarterly in advance. So you're going to pay 3 months in advance. Can't do that. Okay, you can pay monthly, but we're going to lock you into a 2-year agreement. So you can do things like that. Um, it is the case that any of that you do is going to scare off certain customers. is not necessarily a bad thing because you will get higher quality customers.
True.
But when you're just getting started and you're trying to get momentum, it can be one of those things that freaks you out and feels like, oh my gosh, I just lost business. I screwed up.
Yeah.
You really just lost somebody who probably can't pay you very well. So,
but it's a great point, and we see it all the time. Is like options to, you see subscription prices, but it's like billed annually, but then or you offer discounts to like pay annually or whatever, and like that's definitely something to consider for sure. I'm sorry for taking so much time. Thank you,
no,
Brad.
it's good. These are all awesome questions, bro.
I hope it
These
helps
are good.
other people too. I hope it helps.
These absolutely helped other people. So no problem at all. I love it, man.
Good luck with the move, dude. I'm gonna try and make some headway finally. And are you gonna be around for this next week?
Yep.
Sick. All right.
Yeah. Get out there and get after it.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you, Bruno. All right. Alan, my man. Thank you for waiting patiently. How's it going? Oh wait, that's Dawson. Hold on, Dawson. Wait, hold on. I'll be right back to you. Hold on. Because I said Alan. There he is. How's it going, Alan?
Yeah, good, thank you. So I just wanted to pick up on the two discussions or the points earlier. One was the psychology. Yeah. And one of the things I've been struggling with, I've just last part of the conversation, I've just paused a client who hadn't paid for 3 months, kept promising and everything else. And, we were having conversations, a lot of stuff going on in their life and things. But one of the lessons I've learned from that is I need to raise my ideal customer profile is small services business and so on. But I realize actually they need to have been stable and generating sufficient income to pay. And I've got to use pricing as a way of qualifying them out, number one. But actually, I really like that idea of quarterly in advance. I do the 12-month option, 12-month price of 10. There's a toggle on the website for that. But actually, I like that quarterly upfront as well. As an approach. But it took me a while to realize actually I'm running a business. I'm not a charity. And that's one of the biggest mindsets.
Thank you for saying that. A lot of people need to hear that.
And the other thing you were asking about AEO. So I'm meaning the AI engine optimization. So I'm really getting into AI tools, Replit, and so on. I'm playing around with it, not only to do a bit of SEO and make it easier for clients, but then to look at, okay, if I said I want to do answer engine optimization, the Neil Patel stuff, as you say, what would I do? And it does give a different look and feel to your website. You're actually putting questions, specific questions, not just FAQs. So that's where I was coming at it from as something that was a differentiator.
So I just, anything like that, I just want to make sure that you can make it very systematized so that you do not end up doing a bunch of custom stuff. So if you tell me, hey, Mike, I've got an approach that I'm going to do where it's step 1, 2, 3, and it gets results, I say, awesome. If you say I'm going to have to do custom stuff for each individual customer, I'd say you better start selling to Fortune 1000s or something like that.
Well, so this brings me around just quickly to something I dropped in the services that scale community the other day. I've developed an engine for qualifying or getting what I call enrichment. So if someone puts a lot of customer data in a CSV file and there's half the names missing or company details or whatever, I've automated the back end to go out and find that information. And that I'd love to turn into a system and a plugin for DHL and then just sell it en masse.
That's awesome.
So I'm trying to go down that route now, I think.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Leave you to it.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it.
See you.
Have a good night. Bye-bye. All right. I'm going to do a couple of questions here real quick. Thinking of focusing on the AI automation capabilities. Yes. The smart employee, smart operator. Yep. I love it. That's fantastic. Just upsell. How does that sound structural like that? Although I realize do it, test is true answer, initially going on niche local businesses. Yeah. I'm actually a big fan of that. I think that the AI capabilities of HighLevel are an awesome front end offer that you can roll out to just about any small business. Some of the capabilities are going to be more impactful for some businesses than others, but that's okay. The fact that you have that whole suite means that you can solve a problem for every small business. So I love it. I think it's easy to set up. It's easy to pitch. It's easy to demonstrate. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I would definitely go for it. This is a good one, Ricky. How do you recommend handling the new legislation in Texas about marketing tax? Has that changed your approach? Yes. So for us, Ricky, what we have done is we've essentially kiboshed all tax in Texas at this point, for our customer base. Now, our customer base is not primarily in Texas. So if you are in Texas and that's like a big market for you and that's really who you're selling to, you really need to understand those laws and maybe take a more nuanced approach than I took. For us, we just said, yeah, just don't send any text to anybody in Texas anymore. Texting is not a big part of our business. Texas is not a big part of our business, so not a huge problem for me. But if it is a big part of your business, you definitely want to figure out the details again so that you can take a more nuanced approach. I would just caution you, don't ignore this, don't mess around with this. We live in a very litigious society, and lawyers, anytime a new thing like that gets passed, there's a whole army of lawyers that start salivating and saying, how can we find people who are screwing this up fast so that we can sue them fast and get some fast money from them? Ask me how I know. I know because I've experienced these things numerous times in my career, and it's the same ambulance chasing legal approach, where they're just looking for somebody to sue so they can make a quick buck. And the whole model is, let us sue you, scare the shit out of you, have a huge number associated with it, and then just try and get a settlement from you real quick so that you just cut them a check for some amount of money that you don't want to cut a check for. The most recent case of this for me, in California, they have some lawyers that sued, I can't remember who they sued, using a 1950s wiretapping law to say that anybody who was pixeling a website, pixeling users on a website, without some very specific things in place, that was, essentially stealing their information, just like wiretapping would be. And a judge agreed with them. And so when that happened, an army of lawyers in California just started literally just going to every website that they could find and suing people who weren't, perfectly following that playbook. Total pain in the neck. And they have a whole nasty process around it. So I've experienced that myself, unfortunately. Ryan says, I want to flip to a usage-based model charging a small monthly subscription price. I'm thinking 2x markup. Is that too aggressive or not enough? Ryan, that is probably not enough. Typically, 3 times markup gives you 67% gross margins, and 67% gross margins are typically the minimum gross margins that I suggest that you operate on. So 2 times is probably not enough, Ryan. Dawson, my man. How's it going, sir?
Good. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Good to see you.
So I have an update. I have a customer who wants to buy one of my prints for
Nice.
$60. So
Nice.
I'll turn a, usually I do 4x6 glossy photos, but this will be an 8x10 of canvas on a train. It'll be on a train. And so I will go to the print shop and print it out today.
Awesome. Love it. Congrats.
So the cost will be a little bit more upfront because it's a custom work, but I was able to set my price and someone paid for it. So I think it'll be just for this particular one, I'll pay about $30 to get it and $60 to sell it. So I'll be getting $30 back.
Good.
This is just a way for me to establish my base price, have some customers, and get some feedback.
Good. I love it. Get momentum, man. That's what it's all about.
And I have another photo that I'll putting up for auction, for a charity auction, and that will also help me establish my base price. I'll also be expecting around that same amount.
Nice. I love it.
And so I've been getting involved in the local art show. There was one with 2,000 people yesterday over at the art show in my city, and I wanted to make sure I was involved in that community as well.
Good. I dig it, man. Nice job. Well done.
I will be having an exhibition in November, so it'll be November 7th. I'll have my exhibition. I'll be able to have my photos up in the local gallery, and I think there'll be at least I think 50 people are going to show up on the 7th.
Good. Love it, man. It's all good stuff. Getting out in front of people.
So I guess in terms of the market, I find sometimes people sell prints for $5, and some people sell them for 300. The most I've seen art go for was about 6,000. So I'm kind of just in the lower middle area here in the market, and I'm going to continue to sell that at that level.
Nice. I'm going to a gallery opening party or an exhibition opening party this weekend. I think the cheapest thing I saw this artist had was 50 grand. So
Mm-hmm.
art is definitely it's a big range. But I think, anytime you're thinking about price, the price is an amazing thing because it has such a psychological impact on the perceived value of whatever it is that you're selling, as well as has very practical, tactical impact on how it can be sold or has to be sold. So in other words, if you have a $100,000 painting, there's a whole sales process around that and a distribution process around that and how you present that to the world that is totally different than if you have a $10 print for sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a $10 print for sale, you could distribute in Target and Walmart and sell 1 million of them to the general public and make way more money. So there is no right or wrong on price as long as it is matched up to the cost structure and the delivery structure and sales structure to make the economics of it work for you and your customer base. So when you're selling lower price point things, that's awesome. You got to look for things that are not customized and that you can try and sell as much volume as you can. And then as you're selling something that's more customized, you obviously just want to have higher price points to make sure that you're justifying the sales process, the delivery process, everything that goes with that.
So most of my products are around the same price, and it's costs about $5 to sell it for 60. This one is just trying to get the ball rolling here and still double my money on it, or
Awesome.
making money back. So
Love
I
it.
hope that will continue to pick up momentum. I guess my one question was, I've been thinking more about the startup fees or starting fees if I were to broker deals. I'm just wondering, what can help me justify the value proposition to convince people for doing startup fees.
Are you talking about for what service are you talking about? Just make sure I
So
understand.
if I were to broker a deal, if it was for um, using online services, and if I charge even if it were to be through Go HighLevel, but if I were to charge somebody a startup fee, they could be like, oh, well, I can just do it myself for like way less. But I would be like, well, hey, I'm kind of helping you out with this. This is kind of the startup thing that happens. So I'm doing all the paperwork. All they have to do is just join, just get on the call or whatever, you know?
Yeah, so I think you just need to detail out what it is that you're doing in that startup phase that is adding value. And that is all kinds of things for small businesses if they're trying to get started with something like HighLevel or any sort of online services. One, most of them don't know anything about how to do any of this stuff. So there's going to be a steep learning curve that they're most likely not going to have the time or inclination to do. You're going to emphasize that you are actually setting things up for them so that they don't have to go through and do that.
Mm-hmm.
You should be emphasizing whatever knowledge that you're bringing to all of that work that you're doing for them, any campaigns, any landing pages, any offers, anything like that, that you're saying, hey, these are proven in my experience. So any of that you can document and say, hey, here's what we're doing, training to help them get onboarded, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
All of that should be listed and included so that they understand, oh yeah, there's a reason why I want to pay this person to help me.
Okay, setting things up, expertise, and one more.
Training.
What's one more word that can?
Training.
Training. Okay, training. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm just putting it all together, and everything you're saying it makes total sense. So I'm just learning the ropes here, and
Love it.
yeah, one step at a time. So thank you for having me on today. And are
Of course,
you out
man.
there in Spain? You're gonna go to the Salvador Dali exhibition
No,
over there?
I'm already back home. I'm in San Diego. You missed my intro.
Okay,
I'm back in San Diego, and I'm moving today to a new place. So
got
that's the
it.
reason I'm out on my patio right now. Is the movers are in there getting everything done.
Okay, hey, get her done, and off to bigger and better things.
That's right. Thanks, man. I
Okay,
appreciate it.
have a great day.
Keep it
Bye bye.
up. All right, you too. Bye bye. Darlene, thank you for your patience, Darlene. How are you?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Yes. How can I help you?
Okay, I think, and you partially answered this with an earlier call.
Okay.
I want to emphasize AI,
Yeah.
but okay, I think what I'm hearing you say is, to me, AI is such an easy sell right now for
Yeah.
local small businesses, just telephone calls.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is your bigger picture is, and your whole business model is, the 6 R's where we develop their whole marketing business or their whole marketing strategy.
Yep.
Versus making like AI a commodity. Because if they
Yes.
sign up with me for AI and that's all I do for them, then 6 months later, they'll find somebody that has cheaper phone number.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just, you can expect that everything that AI does for us, the price of it is just going to continue to drop.
Okay.
Right? It's just getting better, more efficient. So ideally, yes, you want AI to be a component of your overall service delivery versus just the service delivery. Now, I want to say, Darlene, right now, and for everybody listening to this right now, AI is a new thing. It's incredible. It's got such power, and the far majority of small businesses are not touching it in any way yet. So, can you sell just AI right now and I think have great success? Absolutely. So don't get too hung up on trying to overcomplicate this at the
Okay.
moment. I would say go out and get as many customers as you possibly can, as fast as you can. Now you've got a base of customers that you can always upsell into a more complete system. Much easier to sell a current customer on getting into your complete system than just selling a complete system from scratch. So I would stick with that approach. But yes, from a long-term business strategy, having that be more of a component of what you're doing rather than the entire thing is I think important.
Yeah, and it speaks to me, it speaks to the content marketing, because there's a lot of content marketing I do with AI for small business. But again, make it on their pain points at their level, keep it really simple, really, because it's an instant problem solver. And then maybe with my newsletter sending out to them, to my current customers, then it become, here's some other things you might want to think about, part
Absolutely.
of the, okay, take that warm audience I already have and then make it that deeper level of your foundation of your marketing.
That's right. Yeah, the way that I grew Kutenda, my marketing service business, so fast is we offered free websites to people.
Yeah.
And then they just paid the $97 a month for the hosting, right? So once we had these, thousands of free website customers, much easier for our sales team to then contact them. Hey, how do you like your new website? Yeah, it's great. Looks fantastic. I can see it's ranking. Awesome. Good. Well, I'd love to talk to you about some of the other things that we could do to help you. Now that you're getting more attention to your website, let's show you how to generate more leads from that website. Let's show you how to do better follow-up, and how we can give you a system that can do all of that for you. It's much easier sales pitch than
and what I'm
scratch.
thinking of is have the foot in the door also be smart websites.
Yes, absolutely.
That quick website template, but then marketing it as something where your customers can interact with you. You can put
100%.
Okay.
100%. That is exactly the value proposition that you should be stressing. Is that
okay?
Most small
ahead, I'm
businesses
sorry.
just have it. That's okay. Most small businesses just have a static, outdated website that's sitting
Yep.
up there not doing anything for them. We want your website to be maybe the most critical and active part of your marketing. And so we're going to bring that thing to life, right? We're going to bring it to life by having lead magnets and opt-in forms and exit pops and AI and
Yep.
live chat and all that good stuff. Yep.
So since we can add the AI features on their current website and they may now want to change, do I separate that at all, or have like a package for a smart website with all the AI features? And then if you want,
I wouldn't separate them out at all. I would say we have a package for a smart website, and we can either work with your existing website and make that a smart website. If you love your site, awesome. Or if you like, we'll build you a brand new one, no additional cost.
okay, what kind of levels are we talking about? Say I have a plumber. What kind of dollar? What kind of?
Oh, for something like that, I mean, if you are doing a pay per use for the AI, I would just do $97 a month, and that's getting them the hosting, it's getting them the website, it's getting them access to all the AI features, and then they're going to pay for usage, right, for those AI capabilities. And then if they're doing an unlimited, so you're setting up on unlimited AI, $197 to $297 a month. It's going to cost you $97, so you want to make sure that you have the margins to support that.
Okay, that seems low to me right now, but I've got to get into the market and really find out.
Yeah, it is low. It is low. Those are low price points because my preference, my experience is to have lower price point customers, have many of them, and those low price points with small businesses, they tend to stick much longer term. So you get just a very nice passive recurring revenue stream going. But that's not the only strategy that can work. So you can, you can definitely figure out what can work for you.
Okay, one more question. I still can't seem to get my head around what features do we sell to them? Okay, I'll give the AI as an example. Okay, AMI voice incoming. Do they go in and make changes themselves? Say they want to, part of the monthly fee is me going in, and when they say, okay, Darlene, we want to have the inbound person talk about X. I go in and make the changes on HighLevel.
Yep.
So to me, that's not SaaS because I'm going in, right? I'm not selling them the SaaS portal where they go in.
Correct. That's right. In that case, that would be my recommendation. Yes. If that was all you're doing for them, is that you're just doing that, those AI features. They're going to have some interaction, of course, because they're going to need to follow up with the people who call and stuff like that. So they're going to get access to that conversations capability and CRM capability. But when it comes to tweaking the AI, that's part of your value proposition that you want to stress is our expert trainers will train your AI to be effective for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And be effective for your business. So that's part of your value proposition.
Okay. And then them not going in and quote breaking anything or having the possibility. Correct. Okay. Correct. Okay. So, but they still can sign in and do other things.
Yep.
And that's part of the onboarding and the training.
Yep.
Okay. Because I was one of those website agencies that did an awful lot customization. So I've really got to get into this mode of not giving everything away because I just can't.
Yes. And so let me give you some guidelines on how to do this correctly, because yes, what you could end up doing is setting the expectation that customers can just contact you every day and change something about their AI, and you're just gonna be jumping through hoops. You don't want to do that. So we've put training out there for you on this that shows you our approach. So when somebody comes on, depending on the package that they got from us, we tell them, hey, we're going to do this number of scripts and things like that to get your AI trained and make sure that it's up and running. Okay. And then there's that, and then that's it. So if there was some additional script training that you want to be on that, then you would have an additional charge. You could also say that is like a quarterly update. So we're going to do a quarterly review to make sure that everything's fine-tuned and optimized, and that we're using all the latest best practices and stuff like that. And so in between those quarterly reviews, if there's something custom that you want, you can contact us for that, and it's a one-time charge of X. So now you're setting some specific structure on here's how this service delivery works. We also give you the option to have some flexibility if there are times when that specific service structure is a little bit too limited for you. The reality is, in almost all cases, no small businesses want to spend any extra money, so they'll wait for their quarterly opportunity to do some updates, and now you have a much more structured set of service delivery, so you're not just jumping.
Okay. Yeah, it's really critical, is what I'm hearing, to quantify upfront expectations like you would anyway. The expectations, and even get it in that service contract.
Absolutely. Okay. So we call it putting boundaries around our service delivery. And that's a hard boundary. It's just like if you were going to go buy a product off a shelf at Walmart, you don't look at that product and go, hey, Walmart, I'd appreciate it if you could just tweak this a little bit for me, and then I'd like it, right? Our services, our products on the shelf at Walmart, we put boundaries around them. We say, here's what you get, here's what you don't get. If you would like some of these things in the don't get category, there are ones that we offer, but it's an additional cost.
AI is just blowing my mind. It's
incredible.
Oh my gosh. The possibilities out there with small businesses. It's where websites used to be, and now AI has taken that place of it's just wide open.
It's endless. All right. You're right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, darling. Thank you. Thanks for being here. All right, gang, I have to get running. It is 12:30. We've been here an hour and a half, and as you know, I have movers. So I got to get running. Thank you to all of you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of my community and for your business. I hope you got some value out of today's call. Next week, we will be back at it with office hours. And if there's anything that you need in between now and then, you can post it in our community, and myself or my team will get back to you. Otherwise, I hope to see you on a future call. All right. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Take care, everybody.